we found out that whatever we're going to present with parents, they're going to question it. If your baby is crying less, oh my God, he's crying less. What happened? Crying more. Oh my God, he's crying more. What's going on? He crying the same. Oh my God, he's crying the same with anything we do. If you would like to question it, you will find a reason to question it. But we didn't want to become the authority that tells you what to do about it. So what we have done, we created the hub.
We're going through something absolutely historic.
Technologies across the board are growing exponentially.
It's a disruption that's going to completely redefine the way businesses compete.
In the next decade, we're going to lose 40% of today's Fortune 500 companies.
The exponential growth of computing is continuing.
AI is nowhere near its full potential.
Whether you like it or not, that the future cannot be stopped by anyone.
Welcome back to the Future Tech and Foresight podcast. I'm your AI host, Marc Vernkopf's deepfake avatar, and this is episode number 191. In today's episode, my guest Ami and I explore how emerging technologies are transforming one of the oldest human experiences, parenting. We dive into the shift away from traditional family authority toward digital decision-making tools like Google and ChatGPT and what that means for modern parents. Ami shares how data-driven baby diaries and non-judgmental feedback are helping parents support infant development in a more mindful, informed way while avoiding the trap of guilt and comparison. We also discuss the parallels between baby care tech and autonomous vehicles, the risks and benefits of data collection, and the profound ethical questions surrounding AI's role in early childhood. If you're interested in the intersection of AI, brain science, and how tech might shape the next generation, this episode is for you. A little bit about my guest. Ami is the CMO of LittleOne.care, a leading technology startup behind Alora, the first AI-powered and radiation-free pregnancy and baby wellness monitor optimized to track and analyze key aspects of pregnancy and baby wellness in support of overall development. He is also actively involved in promoting community health and well-being initiatives, consistently engaged in volunteering and organizing activities for teenagers, children, parents, and infants in his community. Well, hi there, Ami. Thank you so much for coming onto the podcast today to talk about something that I don't think we've broached onto the podcast yet. So I'm happy to have you on to talk about. I'm not gonna spoil it, but thanks for coming on.
Marc, thank you for hosting me.
So, how did you get involved into this work? It's probably quite a different path than I think most of the guests who just talk about AI or other technologies that they're in.
Well, during my entire life, I was working in the area of babies.
Yep.
You need to imagine, I used to be the head of the PTA. It was not even a question. During my life, my kids, I had to be the head of the PTA.
Right.
And I established elementary school because in my community, everybody expected me to establish this school, and I did that. And I worked in companies that imported brands like Barney the dinosaur, if you remember Barney. Yeah, I was involved in that, or Dora the Explorer, or Ninja Turtles. Always it was about games, smart games, either smart games, smart toys, or content for babies, always during my life. And one day, a friend of mine who participated in a workshop that I was producing about passion, what are you passionate about? What are you passionate about? And he participated in that workshop, I think 18 months earlier. He showed up and said, Ami, I would like to discuss with you something I'm going to do for babies. And I used to advise people in the end of the first conversation about a general idea about AI and babies. He said, how much I'm going to pay you? I said, you're not going to pay me. It's an amazing idea. If you want to talk with me about it again, no problem. And he did it again and again and again. After 7-8 meetings, he said, Ami, let's do it together. I'm excited about this era for a reason. The why question that any entrepreneur need to ask, it's not just because of the short-term business opportunities and so on. When I was born, my mom almost died. And my auntie took me to her home and raised me. When I asked my family, my father, my mom, and any other relatives, what really had happened over there, it was so sensitive that each one of them told me a different story. While my father told me, "Yeah, you've been with in your aunt house like 6 months," and my mom said, "No, it was just 2 weeks." And I realized that it's so sensitive, I couldn't even investigate it. When I talked to my auntie, she didn't want to tell me everything. This generation didn't know or couldn't cope with depression after birth. And the fascinating is it's when when you're going through that kind of a journey in your early stage of your life, it raises question what was the impact of it? What had happened over there? What is the differences between me and my brothers and sister? And so on and so on. So it can be, you can say, oh, nothing, it's not important. But the moment you start to read and learn researchers in this area, you understand how crucial are the first 2 years of life in the baby's life. And it made me, I don't know, maybe it's actually impacted my life, and I always wanted to work in this area with or without any connection to AI. Okay, AI is just a new thing, but I work in this market all the time because I really liked it. And I realized in the early stages that it's a very important and crucial period of time. Like, you have a baby, you have a DNA of the baby, but what version, behavioral version, uh, mental version you're going to have, or what kind of social version you're going to have in this human being that you just raised, and in the first 2 years of life you're going to make a lot of impact without even knowing what is this impact going to be. So this is the reason I'm involved in this market and this product. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. No, you alluded to obviously the behavioral changes, or the behavioral, I guess you could say, the environment of a newborn having a pretty large impact on the kind of the rest of its life. I think I mentioned to you in the emails that we shared back and forth that, so my brother just had his first child, and so there's a lot of discussion about what's the best method of raising it, because there's all these different kind of theories, there's all this research out there, and then all the other things that need to be done, but also all the potential problems that you could shall we say impact the child with if you don't do things right. So I guess my first question to you is, like, what are some of the problems nowadays, to kind of like set the context for the rest of our conversation, with like parenting, whether we want to go into the research or just kind of like, what are the things that strike you when we talk about problems with parenting newborns?
So it's a very interesting question we deal with in our company, but we need to understand the behavioral background before we will answer this question.
Sure.
Mark, your generation, and I'm older than you, your generation was born into a reality where you have a question, you receive an answer.
Mm,
Why? Before AI and ChatGPT and any other AI engine that will provide you an answer, real or not real, before that you could use any search engine like Google and you could find an answer to your question. When I was a child, when I had a question, my father sent me to the library and I didn't want to go. It was too long, too boring, and to open a book and to read it from the end to the beginning in order to understand the answer to my question. You were born to a world, like, in the last 30 years, 25 years, any question you had, 2 seconds later, you could deal with the answer. This is one thing. Because when you raised the kids in the village many years ago, you had an authority, the old auntie, your experienced mom, and she was the authority. You had a question, she told you what to do, you believed her. Generation for thousands of years did the same thing. Nowadays, the very same parents do not trust their parents. In many occasions, when the mom gives you an idea or share with you a tip, my goodness, she doesn't understand anything, because everything is up to date with the researchers, with the papers that many universities just published in the last year. Even doctors, they didn't read everything as a parents to newborns.
mhm,
I don't even talk about the ability to discuss everything end to end with ChatGPT. So the big difference is who is the authority we are relying on. It's more digitalized.
mm,
This is one thing. We do not have the community, the trusted people in the community that we talk to them, or we used to have baby experts and so on. We love the baby experts. I do appreciate and I prefer you would talk to a baby expert and not just to a digital screen. But I think the main difference is that you expect an answer, you wanna hit first time the right answer. I'm sorry to say, but parenting is not, one answer. Parenting is a wide range of possibilities, and if you will ask me what do I prefer, is about looking in the mirror, ask yourself what are my values, what I would like to transfer to the next generation, what are my principles, then go to your wife, negotiate that, and only then express yourself side by side with anything you read in any paper that was released, academic paper that was released, or expert that talked to you. It's a big difference because in the past we had only values, and most of the time it was our parents' value because they told us what to do. Nowadays, you need to analyze, you need to differentiate between what you read as the right answer, how to behave with my kid, what are the borderlines, or when I do this, when I do that. I'm not talking about medical stuff. In medical stuff, it's good to track the most newest and the most progress stuff. But behavioral things, I think you should first of all ask yourself, what do I want to bring to the next generation? And the best way to do it is to try to imagine the future. Like 5 years from now, I'm going to look backward, what I'm going to think about what I've done, and to talk about it with your spouse, and then to decide. And it's not about AI, it's about your values.
That's really
Sorry. Although it's technological conversation, but I'm
yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, no. We'll definitely get into that. That's obviously going to be a main chunk of the conversation. Yeah, no, that's interesting. I hadn't fully thought of it like that with regards to child rearing. I mean, obviously, you guys, you and your team have looked into this a little bit more. When you are, shall we say, removing the family authority, if you will, and replacing it more with ChatGPT, Google, etc., have you found that there's like more schisms in the family as well? No, I think I've lost you, Ami. It's me. Recording, and then I'll just ask the question again. Yeah, so my question is, if we're taking, Google and ChatGPT as now the new authorities, and we're kind of removing or reducing the value of, say, grandmothers and other family members, is that not going to create some kind of internal strife within families where the older generation doesn't feel, I guess the term valued would be the right choice here?
Well, I think that in many aspects, the old generation doesn't feel valued. It didn't start with having kids. The real question is what the impact of technology on our behavior. Why do we rely on technology where we shouldn't? Like, I would prefer people to look internally and to discuss between them and themselves what do they prefer before they ask technological entities. Because when you ask another entity and you know that there are several possible answers, you actually ask the other entity what are the values that another programmers told this technology to express. So when it goes to values or what you need to leave behind you, you shouldn't ask any technology, you need to ask yourself. This is one thing. And the question is, why do we rely on technologies when we don't really need it? And we discussed this internally before we started. Before we started to develop this product, we asked ourselves, what are we going to bring to the world? We do not be here and tell parents what they should do or what they shouldn't do. We didn't want to be we didn't want to replace your values or vision or the things you need to do as a couple or family. And we limited ourselves to create a technology that will do something else, although we use the very same technology. And I will explain. One of the most important things that happens to people when they become parents, they forget one important thing. You are still a kid of other parents. When you become a parent and the due date, you go to hospital, nothing will change in your relationship, the way you remember them with your parents. So now you have a new family that just, you created in your hands, you and your spouse, and on one end, you are still the kids of your parents, but you have a newborn. The problem with people that they spend the very important first 2 years, instead of dealing and doing what they need to do, the baby, they always compare. They always keep asking yourself, oh my God, my father was not enough at home. I will do better. And you always communicate between you and yourself, what can you do better? What you can do different? What I'm going to do to my kids that my parents didn't do to me, and so on and so on and so on. And you always have these guilt feelings. So instead of spending these 2 years with this discussion and guilt feeling, we decided to create a technology that will reflect you the reality. Simple facts. When your baby was asleep, how much words you talk to your baby today, how much time you spend engaging with your baby, deal with the facts. Because the moment you start to deal with the nightmare, with the issues, with the problems you have with yourself, you waste these two important years of your baby's life. No, I would like and we created very simple to understand reports. This is the time yesterday playing with your baby. This is the time spent in tummy time with baby, which is very important milestones to develop the muscle of the neck. Oh, do that yesterday? Fine. Do you've done it yesterday. You should like to talk to your baby up with your baby the amount of time you could. Lovely. Do the same this day and the day after and so on. We would like to address or to present you what really had happened instead of making you, like many other parents, deal with yourself, between you and yourself. Oh my God, that was not good enough. I did do it. No. Deal with the facts and do better. Very simple.
Mm. Very interesting. Yeah. So you kind of you're
You see that?
yeah you're removing the historical guilt and replacing it with data and facts that you can then decide on the best route or the best actions possible. Very interesting. Um,
Exactly. You can compare it to any smartwatch that tells you how many steps you had today or yesterday.
right.
You will do you can ignore that. You can do better the day after. It's like the scale in the gym. We will tell you what is the fact. We won't tell you what to do about it. I brought you a train and I say I'm not running or planning your diet. This is not the idea. The idea is to tell you what is the reality. Why? Because your baby needs you in the next 2 years. It's a very important period of time that will impact everything: mental strength, emotion, ability to communicate with others, socializing, even grade at school. So many papers were released lately that explain how much these 2 years of life has a tremendous impact of the baby's success, happiness, and health. Okay.
Okay, so maybe following from that, one other contextualizing question here before we jump into everything. You mentioned that there are some like misconceptions or issues with parenting, modern parenting, shall we say, that technology is going to help. Are there any other things that technology might help with regards to parenting? Like, I know that there's an emergency aspect to Alora,
Yeah,
right?
there are three different aspects.
Yeah.
One, many baby monitors, well, actually the whole market of baby monitoring, the whole category is about night sleep. What is going on with my baby when I'm going to sleep? Many parents will make a purchase decision just because of the safety that you can purchase using in part of the products that are in this market. We understood that we can use the AI to expand the safety features. For instance, instead of just tracking the the LoRa motions, like during the night sleep, we can track if somebody, God forbid, shake your baby, scream at your baby, or the baby fall from a changing table, aggressive care, crying with no one approaching the baby and rocking the baby, either rocking or talking to the baby. Um, so this is part of the algorithms we added because for the very first time we had the ability to do it, since the LoRa goes with your baby anywhere they go. It's not just attached to the wall or somewhere else in the baby's bedroom. This is one thing, but this is just one aspect that you can use technology beside of the very first thing that it's the most important thing. Listen to yourself, listen to your gut feeling. Trust me, it's not less important. The other thing we understood we need to do, but it will take time. The moment you have more and more data, you can map. The very first thing you need to do is to ask the parents if they allowing you to use the data without harming or without doing anything that is comes to with their privacy and the baby's privacy. We are very sensitive about that. But the moment they understand the reason we ask for that question, they are more than cooperating. For the very first time, we can compare between the experiences of babies. I will explain. You purchase a baby formula. Another family purchased another baby formula. You wanted to switch to another baby formula, but you never ever tried your whole 16 baby formulas and compare them to each other at the very same stage in life. And how do you make a decision? Price, maybe, sales, or especially in most occasion, and then the influencer you follow said that it's in working, or the baby expert you talked to told you try this and not that. But no one mapped you the user experience of babies with car seats. No one told you what are the real facts. As I said, let's deal with the facts. And if I will tell you that these car seats, the average baby fall asleep after 20 minutes, but in the other car seats, the average baby keep crying for the next hour, you will not be able to ignore it. So this is another layer where technology can be very useful. And there are so many products that the consumer is the baby. Make the purchase decision as a parent, but the consumer of this toy, of this game, this book, the consumer is the baby, and you don't really know what is the impact of this product and service. Like service is even massive, much more massive on the baby. This is the other aspect. In the long term, we are not there yet because we are a well-being product. We are involved. We involved in clinical researches, and the reason we are involved in these researches, although we are not a medical product, is because of the data we collect, and because these data are not about the baby, they are more about the environment around the baby. We track the motion and the sounds of the baby and the surrounding, but it tells the stories of the people the caregivers, or the relationship with the baby, like how much time you spend talking to the baby, how long time took you in average to approach the baby when he was crying, how much time you spend playing with the baby, how much energy you took out together, and so on. And in the long term, we know and we understand, and this is the reason we run these researches, that there is a connection between these non-vital variables like talking, playing, singing, reading, and so on, to the baby's development, cognitive development, language acquisition, and milestones, and so on. So we are trying to look for how much your baby is crying, sleeping, routine feeding, and other aspects of, I don't know, expressing new syllables, and so on. So we are playing in this area because we know that nowadays, when you look at the development chart, they are relying on very, it's from the 70s. I don't know if people know that, but the current developmental charts are from the 70s. It's about the scale, about the height and weight, but nothing about many other things we collect, like feeding patterns, sleeping patterns, activities, crying, and so on. So we would like to create something around that. It will take us time. You need to do it very carefully. You need to become a medical product. And but we already started the clinical trials, and because the physicians, neurologists in this area really like the product and they use it already.
Super interesting. So in my mind, from what you've just said, it sounds like, modern and certainly the future of parenting is going to be, as you said a couple times, trusting your own gut, but really there's going to be this layer of data on top of really all the decisions that you're going to choose, whether it's a car seat, formula, daycare, or whatever. Like, is it going to turn into a place where, that daycare is going to have kind of a higher data rating of, development, improvement for your child compared to this daycare because they have certain kind.
Well, it's a very sensitive questions about daycare, but the moment you will find out that one daycare is, let's say, you can tell that the music and the routine and the time the caregivers spend in talking and playing and singing to the babies in it this level, and the other daycare less routine, more chaotic, nobody talks to your baby really, and I don't know, he was crying, the average baby cries more. I'm not, again, I would like to face the facts. I would like to share with you the facts if it's legal and if I was allowed to. Very simple. And the way we share them, the charts we created, we don't even call them graph, we call them very simple to understand insights. To do insights. It's very easy to understand what to do with them. We found out that whatever we're going to present with parents, they're going to question it. If your baby is crying less, oh my God, he's crying less. What happened? Crying more. Oh my God, he's crying more. What's going on? He crying the same. Oh my God, he's crying the same with anything we do. If you would like to question it, you will find a reason to question it. But we didn't want to become the authority that tells you what to do about it. So what we have done, we created the hub. Our application is not just display of data. In our application, it's very easy to communicate and chat with baby experts from different disciplines. You can share with them anything you see. If they decide to work with you, you pay them. It's not something that is connected with us. We just have that introduce you to these experts. And actually, we even encourage you to bring in your own experts. But the moment you discuss what is going on with your relationship with your baby, over not just what you share as your story, what had happened, he didn't sleep, I fed him, he was crying, my husband said this, I said that. No, no, no. I would like you to discuss with your experts anything that happened besides of your stories, the real simple facts. And you know what is funny? It's nothing about the babies. Babies are very simple creatures. They sleep, they eat, they cry, and poo. I'm so sorry. It's all about yourself. How much time you spend talking and laughing with your baby? How much time you spend playing with them instead of, it's in the crib, he's not crying, fine, so let's do nothing. No, take your baby out of the crib and play with him. He will cry because you are annoying parents, but you made him play. People doesn't know, but World Health Organization complains that we have more and more overweight kids in the elementary schools because we do not play enough with them with their baby. Baby needs to play to destroy the house. They need to be all over the place. And, right now we talk over Zoom. In many houses, people work from home. They are like, oh, I spend more time at home. But you are not present because you work from home and you need to be with your babies. And what all we want to do is to reflect you with these simple facts to make you do something about it, especially in the first 24 months.
Very interesting. I want to go back just one point, like, so we're talking about, daycares, but this is also going to be the same thing with products, right? So you were talking again, baby seats and baby formula. Is it in your view that, say give it 10 years time, right? Everybody has an Allura device on it and all of the data is being collected. It sounds to me like this is going to figure out the kind of bad products really quickly. So if there's a baby formula that maybe has one like cheaper ingredient into it, and it causes babies to be, I don't know, not sleep as easily, or they cry a little bit, or they have upset stomachs, like you're going to be able to tell that. And because of the amount of data that's being collected, you're going to be able to know that at a pretty large scale pretty quickly. And you're going to be able to identify, well, this baby formula is not good. And in essence, cut off families and parents from buying that formula, and making that baby formula business either go out of business or change their formula immediately. And I think it's going to happen pretty quickly if you're able to see these insights in simple, well, you're saying graphs, but simple insights. Is that kind of what's...
I would like to correct you in one thing. I will never ever say about anything if it's good or bad. I will reflect the facts. If the average baby cries more, sleep less, and naughty, it's like a war to feed them. And the other baby formula used by the average baby, and you receive a different results. What do you think they do when they develop a new product? They are actually running surveys and discuss with the mom what they feel about that. And they need to run survey before they release the product, but they don't do that with real with products like the Laura, but they have to do it.
Yeah.
Okay, so all we do is to share with you the facts. I'm not saying if it's good or bad. The big question is different. The moment we have this data and we run the AI that analyze this raw data nowadays, the important thing to understand is, in AI world, there are two different assets. The very first, everybody talks about these assets, is the algorithms. The algorithms that run the ChatGPT, Gemini, and so on, they are very progressive. And guess what? 2 weeks from now, they are going to be even more progressive, and 2 years from now, they're going to be much, much more progressive. This is a rocketing market, and this is what we do. We always keep developing the algorithms to do better, to be more accurate, to be smarter. But this is only one side of the game. The other side, and I think it's much more important, is the data sets. Well, let's assume that in 5 years' time, we are going to have extraordinary and amazing algorithm, but you don't have the data when you used to be a baby. You don't know how much time you spent crying or sleeping and so on. But let's assume that in 5 years' time, we're going to have an amazing algorithm that can go backward, look at the very same data, and tells you a lot of things that you can be, I don't know, used to play with. And I think that the real assets is to have these data sets. Many people, like myself, digging and thinking, oh my God, what had happened over there? Did my mom play with me? Did my mom hug me? What did she or didn't she? And I would go to my psychologist and discuss that. Well, I think that nowadays babies doesn't need to do that in the future, because they can face they face the facts, and to understand how this fact made them the people they are, or what to do with the facts. Because in our world, most of the time, as we are new parents, most of the time we spend in thinking what had happened and what should I do. And it's a conversation that runs in your mind. And I would like not to stop it, but to reduce the noises that this conversation brings with it.
Right, and you do that by simply presenting the data or the evidence of whatever it is that's factually happening.
Yeah.
I get that. What about again? Like I like talking a little bit about the future here. As has been discussed, and maybe it's a bit weird to talk about, babies and autonomous vehicles, but there is a link here. There's been a lot of discussion about autonomous vehicles, say in 10, 15, 20 years time. It would be kind of irresponsible for somebody to get in a vehicle and manually drive it when you have autonomous vehicles driving for you, and they're able to see 1,000 more parameters than you are, and they're 100 times more safe than you are driving. Do you kind of see a near-term future where the same is going to be happening with Laura baby monitors or other baby monitors? Like, is it going to be perceived, and maybe this is the key term, perceived as immature parenting if you don't have one of these monitors on?
It's a very important question. There is no connection between technology and happiness, and there is no connection between purchasing a product that will reflect you with your discipline. There's no connection.
Yeah.
So let's address this issue and I would like to share with you some thoughts. Technology can be good and will be adapted if you, as an individual, will feel like or see that it brings you more freedom, another degree of freedom. For instance, the moment you had a cell phone, you don't need to go home to make a phone. You can do it anywhere you are. So you will adopt it. Although many people say, "Oh no, I won't use it. Nobody will." If you remember the days that we had the early beginning of cell phone, people say, "I will never have a cell phone. Nobody will call me out of the working hours." Sorry, everybody has cell phones because of the degree of freedom it brought with it, as well as cars. If I can sleep during the whole ride, well, some people like to ride, like some people like to ride horses till today, 100 years after we had the first cars. But still, there are few people who like to ride horses. It doesn't mean that we will not leave the driving and fall asleep during, or we'll walk on our way to work. The problem with technology is not the degree of freedom. The problem with technology where you do not understand that you do lose the degree of freedom. This is the problem with technologies. If the game, let's call it a game, is not a fair game, and somebody that involved in this game doesn't tell you the whole truth, like, I don't know, we see what you do, we will use it against you when we need it. This is the thing that freaked my mind. I'm afraid of it. I would love to have technologies, but I would like them to be spread. I would like to have as much as we can different entities to own technologies, because the moment it's centralized and only one entity control it, they can say whatever they want.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm going to say it. I don't really believe them, because it brings with it a lot of power, and history shows that anytime power was in a few hands, they do very bad things with it. The history showed it. I don't.
Yeah.
It's a human natural behavior. So I would love to have technologies. I would like it to be spread between many entities. I would like individuals to be able to control it. I love the GDPR. I love California's privacy law, because if you really read them, you will understand, and you understand them from the eyes of the people who wrote them. I cannot say what I do not understand why people like companies doesn't like it. I love it because you respect the customer. And for instance, you need to explain why you collect the data. Why you collect the data, what you're going to do with this data, or how do I delete the data in 3 steps. The moment you have this is the way, this is, I think, just the beginning to bring back the power to the hands of the people. This is one thing. The future of the technology in this area, I think, as much as we are going to have more and more ability to use technology, it will bring us back to the most important part. What are my value as individual? Because in the past, you need to run to the river to bring water, to milk the cow. You didn't have time to think. The moment you have the laundry machine that make the work for you, and in the future, many other technology that will support your work, I think it will leave us with more time to think and to implement the pure parenting and what we want to do with it. And the lazy people, sorry for saying it, might do something else. The people who would love and would like to invest in that parenting will find the right thing to do. By saying that, I'm afraid to predict the future, because every 5 minutes something else is happening. So
Sure.
yeah, but I talked about the principles and how can we make sure that technology doesn't take over our freedom. The freedom is the most important part.
Right. Okay. I see our time's winding down here a little bit. I do want to ask maybe two more questions. One, going back a little bit, and then one kind of. I know you don't like predicting the future, but we got to talk about it anyways. So the first one here is, uh, as I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, right? So like again, my brother had a recent child. They're researching all the different ways of parenting. There's like new models of parenting that seem to be coming up every decade or something like that. Um, what do you think with all this data, with the technology layer that's going to be that Alora is going to bring to parents on the reality of parenting and child rearing? What are some misconceptions, and maybe you've already come across them, but what are some misconceptions that this technology data layer might show or shed light on to parents that's like, oh, well, you've been doing this for the last 10 years, but this is actually not the right way of doing things because the data will prove that, this is actually the right way to do something for a child.
Uh, uh, we just what we do. It's actually it's a very highly detailed baby diary. We actually share with parents what had happened with the baby. Unlike camera, that you need to watch the video for the last 24 hours to understand what had happened in the last 24 hours. We actually present with the parents like a very simple mapping what had happened when your baby was asleep, when your baby was crying, when your baby was fed, when your baby would change diaper, and everything that had happened, talking to the baby, playing with the baby, and so on. This is what we do.
Mhm.
We do not tell parents what to do. We tell them what had happened. I believe that there are a lot of new papers in the area of brain science. The brain science is something that I think is going to be the next revolution. We are going to understand the brain. I was invited to in an event where they disclosed 6 years of work in the area of dialogues with babies, and they used EEG in that clinical trial, where they actually mapped the baby's brain where the parents talked to them, and they found something very interesting, and it's just the beginning. They found out, and this is one of the things we would like to do in the future, but they found out what type of dialogues with babies will impact the baby in a tremendous way in the coming future. So, for instance, you can talk to your spouse and say, "Darling, can you prepare the bath? I'm going to feed the baby and then we'll be put him to sleep and we'll watch Netflix." You talk over the baby's head. Nowadays, our product says that you talk to the baby because it's a very simple. How many words the baby heard?
Mm.
There is another type of dialogue that you talk to your baby. "Oh, Marc, I'm going to feed you now, and then mom will take you to take a bath, and then I put you to sleep. I will read you a book." Like, you talk to your baby and describe him what is going on. This is the most common dialogues that people do with the babies, and we talk the baby talk sometimes because it's a very natural way to make your baby understand the syllables. "Oh, Marc," and you talk that way. And that situation, do you have any idea how many neural connections happens in the baby brain when you talk to him that way? Drop a number. How many neural connection
Oh,
in the
I
baby
have,
brain?
I mean,
When you talk and look at your baby.
yeah, yeah. I'm gonna say millions, but it's probably billions, right?
No, it's million every second.
Every second.
Million, it's a firework. Million every second.
Yeah.
It's a firework in your baby brain, and every second. If you would like to make your baby tired, talk to him a lot.
Mm.
But in this research, they found something very interesting. If you let your baby to lead the dialogue, and the baby says something, you respond to him. He raises his hand. You raise your hand. You say "pa." You say "pa." You will make him understand that he runs the dialogue. He is in charge. The thing that happened, the EEG found the very same million neural connections happened, but in places in the brain that were never ignited before, like elsewhere. But they found out that 6 years later, the COVID started, and they found out that the very same kids become more agile, help the caregivers to explain other kids why they need masks, help the other kids to wear the mask, and comfort them, encourage them, and become leaders, because they found out earlier. This is my interpretation. Nobody said that in that research, but maybe they found out they can lead adults, so they can impact the reality, and they can do this later on. So we would like to be there in the future. We would like to be able to be part of this dialogue, to understand the connection between what you said or how you describe the purple color or numbers to your kids, and 2 weeks later he start to point out and see this is purple and this is not purple, or he started to count to 10. We would like to show parents the connection between the time they spend with the kids to the results with the kids, in order to encourage them to do it more and more. I don't know what is going to happen from the technological point of view, but I think that the next stage is going to be the brain, and we would like to be prepared to help collect the data in order to reflect parents with the rights in the important stuff. This is what we want to do. We would like to be there and prepared.
Super interesting. Okay, yeah, there's a lot of things going through my mind right now from what you were just saying. This is great. So if I'm understanding correctly, so I know that you guys, you're not prescriptive, right? You're just descriptive. You're just saying here's the reality, here's the data, and it's kind of your decision to make.
Actually, based on 3 things: the sounds of the baby and the surrounding, the motion of the baby's belly, and the air quality around the baby. We monitor the air quality 24/7.
Okay, so understanding that, I think with what you've just described, there's gonna come a point where there's enough data collected about how you interact with your child, about, as you're just saying, the ways in which you're communicating with your child, to, all the different kind of other ways that parenting has. I don't know, how quickly you clean a diaper versus what, like, there's going to be enough data about all of these points that there won't be this guessing game of the right model to raise a child. It's just, here's the true way of raising a child to raise it into the most.
No, Mark, I disagree with you.
You disagree?
There's no true way. I will tell you why.
Okay.
We come from different culture. We are in different ages. We have different life experiences. We have different skills, and we have a different occupations.
Sure.
And we have different income. So, and we live in different places. We eat different things. We like different music. It will leave us with one big question. Okay, I learned how can I impact my baby's whatever. What do I want to do with this? I don't need to run to the river as I said, to bring water. I don't need to clean the diapers, and in the future is even, I don't need to watch the camera to see what's going on, because everything is going to be. So it will leaves us with one big question: what do I want to bring to my baby's life? And the answer, and it's going to open us a big. Let's assume that you will find out there is a way, maybe there is, to make your baby more musical, to make your baby a dancer, to make your baby love football, or to love ballet. I don't know. And now you need to address, what do I want to bring to my baby's future life? Because nowadays it's like a raffle. You don't really know what you do. You do what you do, but you don't know what is the impact of it. Let's assume that you will know. So it will leave you with the question: what do you want to bring to the next generation? Because right now we do the right things because we feel it. I would like to do the right things because I would like to impact the next generation the way I want it as a parent.
Right. So, okay. So culture and personal decisions, morals, etc., are going to have a vastly greater influence on the future of children, especially if we understand. And again, this is a big if we understand how to create the child that we want.
It's a big if. And I would like to believe that the future algorithms will be so sophisticated that we will have the answers. It's like the frightening thing is that, for instance, I don't like math. I don't like to go to school. I don't like to read books. Maybe there is a way to make them love math or to read books. What are you going to do about that? Are you going to invest in it or not? This is the question.
That's super interesting. Okay, well, I have to ask this one last question. I know that our time's almost up here. If that's the case, will parenting rely more on these AI algorithms as time goes on? Because I hear what you're saying about, well, your culture, your personal beliefs are going to be influencing how you raise your child, but won't then say there is this set path to make your child like math, right? And that's what you want. Are you not then going to be using the algorithm that says, okay, do X, Y, Z, A, B, C in order to make your child and then follow that?
It brings us to another ethical problem, I think.
Yeah.
Because we discuss the what question, what I want to do, what my baby will gain, but how, it's a more important question. How my baby is going to be happy, how he's going to be, socializing with people, friendly, how he's going to deal with the challenges, crises. The how question is more important, and I think that we are not even close to a stage where algorithms, AI, data can help. And the how question, the way I understand it as a parent, this is my personal perspective, all about hugging, kissing, smiling, and loving your kid, whatever they do. And I cannot say that I was perfect as a parent. I have 3 kids. But, when you grow up, you understand it more and more. I wish I had this knowledge when I was younger, like this sensitivity to understand. And I think no AI, no cameras, no technologies, no monitoring, no data collecting about it's everything is, I think, to provide your baby a warm, loving, and secure house all the time. I believe in hugging and kissing and listening, very sensitive to understand in between the lines sometimes. And I think when you are consistent with that, the how question is much more important than if your baby is going to be a future musician or future sports player or, I don't know, mathematician. The what question is less important, because if you raise an unhappy kid,
it doesn't matter.
I think you miss the point.
Yeah.
If your baby, I'm serious. I think you miss the point.
Sure. Well, I think that's a perfect place to end this discussion. Otherwise, we could go on all day, Ami. Thank you so much for coming on. You really, I think, expanded my understanding, or at least the visions of what the future will be. So I'm sure other people will get the same kind of benefits. Little one dot.
Marc, I have to share with you something.
Sure.
It just jumped to my mind. We have to have another meeting in a year time and see what.
Sure.
And I'm afraid to say, oh my God, so many things change, because it's so fast.
Yeah. Well, that's part of the reason that I love having this podcast, right? Bringing on people that are smarter than me, more knowledgeable in the work that they do, and they're able to share these insights. It's like, okay, like the world is moving at a staggering pace. It's really fascinating. We'll have your website up on the show notes, your LinkedIn. Are there other places that you want people to follow the work that you guys are doing or reach out if they're interested?
Our website, LinkedIn, and especially Instagram. I think everything happens in Instagram right now. So if you don't have these things, we sent it to you.
Perfect.
Thank you, sir.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much.
I really enjoyed the call, Marc. I really enjoyed it.
Me too. No, it was an absolute pleasure. Thanks for coming on, and thanks for talking about parenting and babies and AI and technology. It's the first time that we've talked about that, so it's great.
Yeah, I think it's going to raise a lot of discussions. Trust me. Good.
Thank
Talk to you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Well, thanks for listening to this week's Future Tech and Foresight podcast. If you like what you've heard here, there are, of course, a number of ways that you can support the podcast. The best way would be to leave a review on Apple Podcasts or give a rating on Spotify, which you can find a step-by-step explanation for on the futuretechandforesight.com website. Alternatively, feel free to leave a comment either on the episode show notes or the YouTube channel where you can see video recordings of the interviews. And finally, if you are part of an organization that is aware of the disruptive and transformational impact that emerging and future technologies will bring and want to know more, Please get in touch to hear about the strategic foresight services that we offer and how we can help future-proof your organization and take advantage of the phenomenal opportunities available to survive and thrive in the future.
A lot of future-shocked people and future-shocked institutions in our society are simply overwhelmed.
Once there is superintelligence, the fate of humanity may depend on what the superintelligence does.
Science fact is catching up to science fiction.
The first truly intelligent machine will be the last invention that humanity needs to make.
The only scarcity that will exist in the future is that which we decide to create ourselves as humans.
Within a 10-year design revolution, we can have all humanity living the highest standard living anybody's ever known.
Progress is accelerating at an exponential pace, and it's going to reach a point where progress is so fast it's going to be a singularity.
We are probably one of the last generations of Homo sapiens.
Every single headline points to the birth pangs of a Type 1 civilization.